Okay, so we're continuing with this little mini series on playing the blues out of each of the shapes from the CAGED system. And I'm telling you, this is the best way to really understand the fretboard and how it all relates. This is how I learned to do it, was doing this very thing. And so what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to take a look at the E shape, and we're going to limit ourselves, like we've done with the previous 4 videos. We're going to limit ourselves to 4 or 5 frets, and we're going to play each of the chords in that area. We're going to look at how to play the dominant 7 versions of those chords, and then how to play the major and minor pentatonic scale all in that one area. So you're not jumping all over and you know, trying to chase notes all over the fretboard. You're just trying to limit yourself. It's a great way to see how chords connect and relate to each other and get your fingers and your muscle memory all kind of kicking in. So in this video, we're going to go through all the lesson material. If you'd like to get the little song, which I played a little bit in the intro there, I'll play it again at the end of this video. I've got that tabbed out so you can get a tab version, and you can also get the on-screen tab viewer version of that, where I've got the tab and the video on the screen at the same time. There's no talking in it, but it's interactive. You can loop sections and you can slow down playback and all that. It's a great way to learn. You can get that by going to activemelody.com and doing a search for ML134. All right, so we're going to be learning a little simple blues here in the key of A, and I'm picking the key of A just because it's right in the middle of the fretboard. But because there's no open strings in this, you can move your hand up or down and change keys and play this in any key. And the relationships will all be the same as what we're going to look at here. That's what's so powerful about this. So when I'm barring on the 5th fret, and this note here on the 5th fret 6th string and the same note on the 1st string, those are A notes. Therefore, when I make this shape, this is my E shape, same E shape you'd make in first position when you're learning those basic cowboy chords. But when I bar there on the 5th fret, I'm playing, and play with the E shape, I'm playing an A chord. So that's kind of our first bearing. And if you can't make bar chords, I know some of you can't do that, don't worry about this. This is just a visual thing. You just need to know where we're at. So that's my A chord. My 4 chord, in this case, would be right here. So it's going to be a D chord. So there's my root note that I just mentioned. There's my A note, right? Right on top of that, on that same fret, on that 5th fret, I have a D note. And therefore, if I play that note and then I bar here on the 7th fret and just play those middle 4 strings, I'm playing the A shape. So that's my D chord or my 4 chord played using that A shape. And I like this because they're in the same little 3 fret region, my 1 chord and my 4 chord. Now what we often do to get to the 5 chord is we just take our 4 chord and move it up 2 frets. And that becomes a 5 chord, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But what we're trying to do in this exercise is limit ourselves to a region really between the 4th fret and the 8th fret. I don't want to go outside of that for anything, for the chords or the scales. We're going to stay in that same neighborhood. So then I have to ask myself, if this was my 5 chord, which is an E chord, by the way, when we're playing in the key of A, where's another E chord that's down in this area? And the answer to that is here. And so that's my E chord using the C shape. Notice my pinky is there on the 7th fret 5th string. That's my E note. So I've got my 1, my 4, and then there's my 5. And so I look at my chords, my 1 using the E shape, my 4 using the A shape, and then staying in that same neighborhood, my 5 using the C shape. Now I realize it feels kind of clunky to make that C chord using all 5 strings like that. I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. But I just wanted to give you those bearings for our 1, 4, and 5 chord in this neighborhood. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to be able to play the dominant 7 version of each of those chords, because we're going to be playing the blues. And when you're playing the blues, you don't just play an A chord, you play an A7, right? And then you play a D7, and you play an E7. You get that bluesy sound by playing that flat, adding that flat 7 to your chord. So from this A chord here using the E shape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my pinky, and that gives me the flat 7 on that 5th fret 4th string, as opposed to this note, which is my root note. There's my A note here. But if I lift my pinky, I get that nice flat 7 sound. And what I like to do, instead of making the full chord, I do this all the time. I just played this little triad. This is a little pro tip for you here. Some of you may not know this, but this shape is the same shape as your D shape in first position. And if I played it here where I've got my index finger on the 5th fret 4th string, I'm playing an A7. I just like that because it's easy to grab. You know, it's just a very easy shape because we're used to playing that shape down here. Okay, so that's my A7. I've also got another version of it. Let's go back to that E chord shape. If I take my pinky off and put it on the 8th fret 2nd string, I've got another flat 7 up here. So here's the part you need to remember. So file this away. So in this E shape, I've got a flat 7 here, and then I've got one up here. And you need to know how to make those two chords. So if you've got one, you can play it with a triad like this, or you can play it with all 6 strings if you want to do it. There's the first one. Here's the second one. Or you could play a triad here, like this. That's another way to make that if you don't want to make the full chord. But just know where your flat 7s are so that even when you're playing a lead, you can land on those flat 7s. That's a real key sound. It's a very stable note to land on when you're playing the blues. So hear how bluesy that sounds landing on that flat 7? Or this one down here? You'll hear that a lot in your solos. So it's not just a chord thing. You can work that into your lead as well. Okay, so that's my 1 chord out of the E shape. Let's go to the 4 chord, which is my D chord here. Now, let's get our 2 flat 7s in this shape. So one of them is to take the root note. So there's my D there. Now we have a D down here as well, but we have one here on the 7th fret 3rd string. If I take that down 2 frets, that would be a flat 7. So to make it with the full chord there, all I have to do is bar on the 5th fret, and then I put my pinky and my ring finger. This is just how I do it with my fingers. It feels the most natural. I put my pinky and ring finger on the 7th fret, strings 2 and 4. And I just play those kind of middle strings there. So that would be a D7 chord, but it's out of that A shape area. You've also got one up here on the 7th fret. If I bar with my index finger and then I come up to the 8th fret 1st string, you've got one up here. So there's a flat 7, and then there's one down here. You need to know where those are as well. So even when you're playing a blues in the key of A, let's say, and then it goes to the 4 chord, which is your D, notice I was hitting that flat 7. You've got one down here as well. So just know where they are so that you can really focus on those notes if you need to. You don't always have to, but you just need to know where they are in relation to your chord. That's my 1 chord, my 4 chord, my 5 chord. Instead of me playing my E chord here, what I'm going to do, just remember that's your E note where my pinky is. I'm going to rearrange my fingers a little here, and I'm going to play an E7 like this. This is so much easier to play than trying to stretch like this. And you've played this before, I'm sure. This is real common in the blues. And look at how it's so concise here. This little 3 fret range, 1, 4, 5. They're all between the 5th fret and the 7th fret here. So that's an E7. And this is exactly the same as your C7 chord in first position. So if I just made a C chord and then I put my pinky down on the 3rd fret 3rd string, I took that shape and I moved it up here so that I'm hitting this E note now with my ring finger. I'm playing an E7 chord. And your flat 7 note off of this chord shape is there on the 7th fret 3rd string where my pinky is. So you just need to know that. So when you're playing your lead, you can land on and hit that flat 7 when you need to access it. Now I've got another little version of this. It's kind of the top part of this shape really. But if I were to just leave my index finger down, which is also an E note by the way. So I've got one down here and one up here. But if I left my index finger there and then I put my pinky and my ring finger on the 7th fret strings 1 and 3 and just played that little triad there, that's another voicing of an E7. I don't use that one as often, but I do use it from time to time. It's just kind of an unusual sound. There's something I like about it though, so I wanted to just kind of spell that out. So you've got one here and then one there. All right, so that's our 1, 4, and our 5 chord and the dominant 7 versions of those chords all in the same little area here. Let's get our major and minor pentatonic scale. We'll start with the minor pentatonic scale. You'll know this one, and this is another reason that playing out of your E shape is so popular, because you have minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. It's connected. Notice where I was barring when I make the chord. Every one of those notes is being played when I play minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. right? So that sort of helps you to kind of visualize, oh yeah, I'm playing all those notes and that's where the bar is. There's where my flat 7 is, which is in my minor pentatonic scale. So is the other one. So you're just starting to piece this stuff together. You got your flat 7s, you've got your minor pentatonic scale, and you can kind of see how it kind of flows together. Now you've also got your major pentatonic scale in this neighborhood, which would be your major pentatonic scale pattern 2. So that's a much happier sound, but it's in that same little region there between that 4th and 8th fret. But the reason that this is such a popular area for playing the blues out of this E shape, or starting with that E shape, is because it's so easy to blend your major and minor pentatonic scales in this area, at least in my opinion. It just all sort of fits under your fingers so easily. So check this out. So when I showed you minor pentatonic scale pattern 1, we had frets 8 and 5, 8 and 5, right? Let's just look at the first 2 strings, 8, 5, 8, 5. When we looked at pattern 2 of your major pentatonic scale in the same neighborhood, we've got 7, 5, 7, 5. So you've got minor, and then you've got major. My index finger here stays in the same frets. It's really depending on what I do on this end of it. So now if you think of those two being blendable, there's your major. There's my minor. And I can start to go between the two and get all kinds of really cool sounds. But now on this 3rd string, check this out. I've got those 2 notes, 7 and 5 on the 3rd string. But then I've got the major 3rd. So I've got my flat 3, which would be in my minor pentatonic scale, but then the major 3, which is in my major pentatonic scale. And this is super common in the blues. And in fact, this sound right here, you've heard that. All the time in the blues. And that, all I'm doing for that is I'm going flat 3, hammering on to the major 3. And then I'm playing this, which is strings 2 and 3 or 2, 3, and 4, but it's really just my 4 chord. Look at that. It's my D chord. And then back to the 1 chord. So that's a common sort of gospel. I think of it as gospel piano. That's just how it sounds to my ear, but it's a gospel piano kind of blues thing to go 1, 4, 1. And you could do that with any of your chords when you're playing the blues. So you just have to play the chord itself and its 4 chord. So that works with all 3 chords. So this is my 1 chord. And I'm playing its 4 chord. When we go to the 4 chord, which is a D, check this out. I'll use the same E shape. And I went from a D to a G and back to my D, because that's its 4 chord. And then for the 5 chord, there's my E to the A, and then so forth. So anyway, I'm just pointing that out, this little pivot from the 1 to the 4 chord. You can use that in the blues for like a call and response. Let's take all this stuff and put it together and just start improvising. Let me show you how you can take what you've got now and you can make music. You can make all kinds of great music with this. Look at this. All I'm doing is making sure I land on my A note, which is that 5th fret 6th string. I'm playing some notes from my minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. And then I'm playing that little gospel move. Now when I'm doing that, I'm barring the first 4 strings on that 5th fret. I'm playing strings 4, so you can hear the flat 7 in there. That's why I'm including that. So you're playing strings 4 and 3 and hammering on to that 3rd. That's my flat 3 to my 3. There's my 4 chord and then back. Now I could do whatever I wanted as long as I'm hitting that A note in time. See, you could play anything. And I don't have to just hit this note. I could land on this A note as well. I could go. So those are some options to play like over that 1 chord. When we come to the 4 chord, watch this. I landed on the D note. I just played the same like little riff. but landed on the D note. Now when it comes to that D note, I'm going to just play the A minor pentatonic scale. Watch this. And then we'll go back to the 1 chord. So you can see how I'm just really staying in the key of the song. I'm just playing minor pentatonic scale. Let's just try some major pentatonic scale. So check this out. I'm just making all this up. We'll just set it up with our call and response. So notice that, that's major. Pattern 2. Now let's blend it. Let's go into the minor. Look at that. There's a minor pentatonic going into the major, back into the major, flat 3 to the 3. And some of you are probably saying, how are you able to do that so quick? I can't think of it that way. It's just licks that I've learned, and your fingers will start to do this. The more of this stuff you do, and that's why I've got this song at the end of this, so that you can go through the song, and I've kind of tabbed it all out, and you can practice that. And it's by learning songs like that that you get licks like this. All right, so let me give you one other little formula idea for playing blues. Now, there's lots of different ways you can play the blues, obviously. And what we've been doing so far is just staying in the key of the song. So when I played the 1 chord, I just played A minor pentatonic scale. When I go to the 4 chord, which is my D, I still just played A minor pentatonic scale, sort of in between. Now, when it comes to the 5 chord, which is our E, I could just stay in the key of the song. I could just stay in the A minor and or major pentatonic scale, or blend the two, and that would be fine. I could go. So notice there I went 5 to 4 and back to the 1. I could do that. But what I want to do is give you this little idea that I hear sometimes in the blues. I got this from Albert King, and that is when we go to the 5 chord, we're going to play the minor pentatonic scale of that 5 chord. So when we go to that E, I'm going to play the E minor pentatonic scale. So what that means for me is I have to think of my E minor pentatonic scale because I'm not moving my hand. I'm locked into frets 4 through 8. So I can't go to down to pattern 1. I have to stay here. So then I have to ask myself, wait a minute, okay, so if my bearings are, this is my E chord using the C shape, like where is the minor pentatonic scale in relation to this C shape? So you could, if you wanted to, you could pause this video and actually you could go back. I'll put the lesson up on the screen where I talked about the C shape, playing the blues out of the C shape, and I told you which major and minor pentatonic scale were related to that. You could go back to that if you wanted to just sort of work that out yourself, but I'm going to assume that you either know it or maybe you just don't care about that. So what we're looking at when we're playing our E chord down here, actually I was playing it like this, I was playing the 7 version of that, is we're looking at our E minor pentatonic scale pattern 3. And I know that, this will be a light bulb for some of you, but I know that by my index finger, which is playing that E note there, when I play this chord like this, I'm playing one of my E notes with my index finger, and I know that whatever note my index finger is playing, so in this case it's an E note, if I wanted to play that minor pentatonic scale of that note, it's going to lead me right into that pattern 3 of my minor pentatonic scale. Right? You could also connect it to your ring finger being down here on that 7th fret 5th string. So that just is an easy way. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to know what key we're in, what the note names are. None of that matters. I can just feel it. I just know if I'm here and I'm wanting to find my minor pentatonic scale off of this, I know exactly how to do that off of that note. So anyway, that was talked about in that lesson I put on the screen where we talked about playing the blues out of the C shape, because that's the chord we're playing over right now. So in this formula, we're going to play the E minor pentatonic scale only for that moment in the song where we're playing over the E chord, which is our 5 chord. You don't have to do it that way. It's just one of the ideas that you can use when it comes to playing the blues. And I hear, like I said, I attribute that to Albert King. I would hear him switch his solos and he would play the minor pentatonic scale of the 5 chord, and it's just always such a cool sound. So let me just improvise a little. Here's my 1 chord. There's major pentatonic. Let's go to minor. Let's go to the 4 chord. There's that D7 like I showed you. Here it is up here. And look at that. I went right back. I blended the minor, major, minor, major. Back to my 1 chord. Now here's my 5 chord, so check this out. We're going to play the E minor pentatonic scale. Hear how powerful that sounds? That you can just tell it pulls you into that 5 chord. And so just remember how to do that in this area here. And when you're playing out of your, this E shape, you're playing a blues out of this E shape. When it comes to the 5 chord, you can do that. Oh, actually, I don't want to slide out of position. So from the 5 chord, we'll go down to my 4 chord like this, and then back to my 1 chord. And there's a lot of turnarounds that you can work in, like in this same area. Here's one. Let me just give you an easy one. And I worked this into that little song that I played in the intro. So there's my A chord using the E shape. I showed you to come up here and use your pinky on this 8th fret 2nd string to play the flat 7. So let's play that flat 7 and then the root note, my A note. And then just walk it down. Look at that, it's very simple. It's just from the flat 7 down to the 6, down to the sharp 5, and down to the 5. And it's just that note mixed with my root note. So that's one simple little idea for a turnaround. And then you play your 5 chord, and then back to your 1 chord. And you can do all of this in this one neighborhood. And so that's going to be your homework for this week or for this month, however long it takes you to work this out. There's not a time limit. Don't rush into it. Don't rush yourself. Just try and get comfortable with 1, 4, 5, and your minor, and your major, and all in that same area, and how you can take those pieces and start putting them together to make music. All right, I hope you come up with something cool. Leave a comment. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if anything's confusing. Let me know if you've had any breakthroughs. I always love that. That's a huge help to me, and it just lets me know if I'm on the right track. I will do a lesson where I pull it all together, and we instead of locking ourselves into these little regions, we start spilling across the fretboard, which is probably more of a reality. But for now, this is great practice just to really understand how each of these chords relate to each other. All right, so don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next video. 1, 2,